So the actor strike is continuing, and I don't think anyone saw it going this far, even though I felt from the very beginning that the actors don't have a whole lot of leverage on their side. I thought that some sort of deal would have happened, and it looked like that was about to happen just the other week. SAG-AFTRA met with the studios, and people felt pretty confident that they were going to come out with a deal, and last minute it abruptly stopped. So what happened that made the deal stop? Well, I just listened to the CEO of Netflix. By the way, long story short, Netflix just ruined everything. That's essentially what happened. Netflix came in, ate everyone's lunch, and just changed the industry forever. Anyhow, the CEO of Netflix came out and said, you know what, we looked at everything, we were getting ready to walk away with a deal, and then one more thing was put on the table that we just absolutely could not accept. What was that one thing that was put on the table?
Going. They kind of, what happened last night is that they introduced this basically a levy on subscribers on top of this deal, which in each of the areas of the deal, which is all in the statement, you see historic highs in terms of the increases across the board, and we had offered a success-based bonus, meaning that we completely wrap our arms around the idea that
similar to what you offered the writers, or
yeah, very similar.
Now, SAG-AFTRA is saying that they are exaggerating this, and then obviously the studios are saying, no, that's not true. It's a game of he said, she said, we're all pointing fingers. But it was essentially a $57 levy per subscriber per year on top of the other demands that SAG-AFTRA was asking from the studios. Now, according to the Netflix CEO, this would cost the studios around $500 to $800 million per year. And you would think to yourself, that money, it's going to the actors, right? Well, no, it's going to SAG to do with it whatever they so choose. So, in my opinion, did they just overstep their boundaries a little bit? And I do sometimes think that unions will take advantage of situations and try to get more for themselves. And to be honest with you, if I was an actor and I heard that, I would be pretty mad. What did they plan on doing with that money? And did they really ask? So there's that. And from the very beginning, I didn't feel that this was going to be super successful for the actors for a number of reasons. Number one, just being the climate that we live in right now, we have social media, we have podcasts, we have all of the content that is already available on the streaming services. And let's be honest, the content that has been coming out of Hollywood recently, a lot of people are getting tired of it. And especially the late night host. I think that was actually one of the most successful parts of the writer's strike was we got a few months off of the late night host. So that was a win. Back to SAG-AFTRA. So there's that. There's also, they wanted increased residuals and an increased pay. Well, an issue with that is, if you look at the base rate for a day's work for a SAG actor, whether it's a background actor, which is less, or just a regular acting gig, it's already almost twice the minimum wage for their lowest day rate. And that rate is the lowest rate that a brand new actor would get, an actor without a lot of experience or a lot of credits to their name. And it's up to your agent to negotiate if you want a higher rate. So that rate is always negotiable. And it is up to, your history, what you bring to the table, and your agent to negotiate a higher rate. So you can already do that. That's just kind of what the studio sees your worth as. So there's that. You also have a lot of actors are saying, most people in SAG-AFTRA, they don't make enough to live off of. Well, you also have to understand that there is an oversaturation of people in Los Angeles that all want to be actors. So there's already way too many people that want to. And for 99.9% of actors, it's probably going to be a part-time gig for you. Even if the oversaturation wasn't as much, it's just hard to make a full-time living in a creative field like that. And that's kind of just the reality of the business business that you get yourself in. And a lot of times too, you could book maybe a co-star or a guest star, and it's very normal that you might not book anything else for a few years. And that one co-star, that one guest star is obviously not enough to live off of. Now let's talk about the residuals. And it's frustrating. The whole industry has changed. Like I said, it's all Netflix's fault. They started it. The whole industry has changed, and people are saying that their residuals are a lot lower than what they used to be. Yeah, and that really sucks. It sucks because you used to be able to get that money. You could book a national commercial and live off of that for almost a few years. It's just the landscape is totally different now. Networks were able to pay and studios were able to pay higher residuals because people were paying over $100 a month for a cable package. Well, now you're paying like $7.99 to have a Netflix subscription. So I just don't know how much more you can get out of a model that is just not the same as it used to be. It stinks. It's just kind of how it is right now. Now, the one part that I do agree with the actors on is the AI part. So one of their grievances, which I think this is the one grievance that all of us can get behind as a consumer and as an actor. So they want to scan, if they hire you to be a background actor, they want to scan your face and use your likeness over and over again while only paying you for one day of work. I think that's really messed up. And I think as consumers, we don't want to watch AI anyway. We want to feel like we're watching real people. But at the end of the day, I stand exactly where I stood at the very beginning. I just don't know how much leverage they have in today's climate, and if and when a deal is reached, I would be really curious to see exactly what the terms are on that. Now, my personal experience with SAG-AFTRA, so I was an actress in Hollywood. I wasn't in anything huge, but I worked a lot and was busy, had a great time. I purposefully kept myself SAG eligible, and I would actually turn down SAG jobs because you can only work so many jobs being SAG eligible until you're a must join. The reason I did that, well, let me tell you why. First of all, so if you are an actor living in Los Angeles and you're not at least SAG eligible, you're not going to be as marketable because per the union, they have to go through all of their SAG actors before they can even hire a person that's not in the union, and they have to say that you have some sort of special thing about you that no other SAG actor had. So in order to even be competitive in Los Angeles, you should at least be SAG eligible. Well, I moved there from Denver. I didn't have a chance to join SAG, so I wrote, directed, and produced and starred in my own little mini series to get myself SAG eligible. I hired my SAG friends, submitted my paperwork to SAG, they approved my script, hired my SAG friends, then hired myself. I was in. So I got to Los Angeles, I did a few SAG jobs, but not as much until I had to join. And then I did a lot of non-union work. At the time, I was auditioning for a lot of animation, which if I would have booked one of those, I would have been a series regular. So my idea was, I want to make sure that if I have to join SAG, because it costs $3,000 to join, and then you have to pay dues every year. So my way of thinking is I'm only going to join and give them $3,000 if I know that I'm going to have steady work and it's financially worth it for me to do so. And I get sometimes, exposure, you have to play it by ear. But that was just me. Because it's expensive to join, and there's no guarantee that you are going to be able to make a living off of being an actor. There's no guarantee after one job that you're going to get another job, and that's the risk that you take being in that industry. It has a lot of really high highs and really low lows. And there was one more thing that I saw a lot of people saying about SAG actors, how the smallest percentage of them even make enough to have health insurance because it's a part-time job. I think I've only had one part-time job in my whole life that offered insurance, and it was just the crappiest insurance ever. Most people that work part-time jobs like that have their own insurance independently, but that's a thing with a union. So those are my thoughts on the strike. Again, I'll be curious to see if when a deal comes out, what exactly the terms are. But anyway, thank you for watching.